Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about today, including new ways to level up next phase, clarifications on GDKP from the devs, big class changes, dungeon loot being modified, and so much more. My name's Scott for the Comeback Is. This is your Season of Discovery news. Sit down, grab a cup of coffee. Got a lot to discuss today. By the way, if you're interested in leveling up very efficiently next phase, as well as finding your runes quickly and painlessly, check out the link in the description below to find our Rested XP affiliate link where you can get the best guide for World of Warcraft out there, as well as support the channel directly as well. Now, let's jump right into it. Okay, now when a new phase or expansion of World of Warcraft finally comes around, that once again gives you the opportunity to level up your main character. But it seems like this time around we might have some interesting additions we need to talk about. Over on Twitter the other day, the official World of Warcraft account posted a tweet and stated, "Season of Discovery Phase 2 arrives February 8th, with a plethora of new treasure. Better rest up while you can." And with that, you could actually see on screen here, there is a new item called the Cozy Sleeping Bag, which actually has an on-use effect for when you rest inside of it at least for a minute. You will be provided with a bonus to experience points, stacking up to 3 times. Now, we're going to have to see how much of an XP boost we're actually going to get from this, but nevertheless, this is actually a really solid addition to bring to seasonal realms such as Season of Discovery. I mean, alternate characters are particularly a really big part in this game mode when it comes to this style of World of Warcraft, and as we start heading into those higher levels, it's going to start getting increasingly more difficult and even time-consuming to level up all these characters and keeping them updated in terms of gear. In my opinion, I think this is a really solid idea, and personally, I've always wanted more survival aspects to be implemented into the game, just for like, almost like a hardcore mode, where you have to eat, drink, sleep, do all those other tedious tasks. Nevertheless, though, it is going to be interesting to see how this is going to work. Is it going to work similar to rested experience points? Is it going to give you a buff that is only for a certain amount of time? Is it going to work for kills, or is it going to be towards quest as well? We're going to have to see come soon. We aren't too sure right now, but we are sure that faster leveling is coming phase 2, so look out for that, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of faster leveling, don't forget that they already did announce there would be a 50% increase to experience points up to level 25 next phase. And it just was recently confirmed that inside of Black Fathom Deeps, you'd be getting a massive experience bonus for completing the raid. Agrin, the game director, actually made a quick clarification about this over on Twitter, stating it will give bonus experience points right away when the level cap increases in Phase 2, so that should be February 8th. He also says that you don't need to be level 26 either, so if you want to save your BFD lockout with your guild for when Phase 2 actually launches, it could definitely be a smart idea in terms of leveling quickly and efficiently if that's the route you'd want to go. Now, it seems like the hottest topic right now setting the World of Warcraft community on fire is that the devs banned GDKPs. With this happening, it seems like every content creator out there is making dedicated videos on this topic, such as Zaryu, Asmongold, amongst others, so it seems the developers wanted to bring out some more clarifications regarding the GDKP restrictions inside of Season of Discovery next phase. They actually shared a really long blue post adding some additional clarity around what qualifies as a GDKP, why it's being restricted, and some other specifics regarding their new direction when it comes to the policy, because this is the very first time this has ever happened in World of Warcraft, and it really is a big deal. When it comes to what constitutes as a GDKP, they define it as any raid or dungeon where items are awarded in exchange for gold. Even more surprisingly, they stated that they have multiple detection methods for GDKPs that are effective inside and outside of dungeons or raid instances as well. Now, I don't think anyone's really aware of what kind of technology they're using over there at Blizzard to sort of monitor this thing, but let's just be honest with each other for 1 second. There are definitely going to be secret and hidden GDKP guild runs or Discord servers going around for something like this. The question is, how many people are really going to be risking themselves by participating inside of these still? Well, to be honest, I'm not sure many people will, because they actually just stated and confirmed that the penalties for engaging in these matters are minimum a suspension and potentially up to permanent account closure. They also stated that the policy goes alongside and launches in the release date of Phase 2 on February 8th at 1 p.m. So, I mean, you gotta ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, is participating in GDKPs, buying gear with real-life currency really worth it? Because let's be honest here, 95% of these things are only alive because simply people just buy gold and bring it into the game, then get a leg up over everyone else and instantly get the best gear out there. Very rarely are there people out there farming gold, busting their butt to take into one of these runs and try to outbid a gold whale who spends $200 a week on World of Warcraft for raid gear. It's actually getting to the point where GDKP organizers are are just flat out quitting inside of Phase 2 of Season of Discovery. This one in particular states that we're all aware of the many benefits that these raids bring and possess for people. One of the most important ones to me is the extremely low amount of administrative work required to manage the loot when I'm doing my GDKPs. At this point, I don't have the time or desire to engage in this extra administrative work. If this is implemented again at some point in the future, I may return, but until then, time is money, friend. I wish you all the best of luck. I don't know about you guys, but to me this sounds like a bunch of bullshit. No, don't get me wrong, selling boost through very difficult encounters inside of World of Warcraft to earn things such as achievement or loot has always been a thing inside of the game, and really MMOs and video games in general for a really long time now. But something that should have never been a thing was paying for it with real-life money, transferring it to the game, and getting all of it like that. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. I'm really interested to hear what your guys' opinion on that is. Moving on now to the main headline of today. Data miners have been working really hard over the last few days, and it seems like they even identified some pretty big class changes heading into Phase 2. Not just the runes, raw class changes. I just want to quickly state that none of this is 100% official, and it hasn't been released by the developers, so what you see here can very well be changed by the time Phase 2 arrives, so take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. Starting off with a couple druid changes, it seems like they're trying to make an effort to make bear tanks a little bit more viable. With that, they're going to be reducing the rage cost of Lacerate from 15 rage down to 10, as well as reducing the rage cost of Mangle from 20 down to 15. Now both of these are definitely welcome changes, I would say, but I think the feral tank community is really open and apparent about what this class needs, and that's really an efficient AoE damaging ability such as Thrash. I don't think single target has ever really been an issue for them. I'd say the weakest thing about them has got to be that AoE. Moving on now to Hunters, we are seeing some very big changes with a couple of things, including their Lone Wolf rune, with the percentage damage increasing, going from 15% all the way up to 30%, which is a very big buff. The Beast Mastery rune is actually getting nerfed as well, with your pet's damage and health being increased from 30% down to 20%, and its focus regeneration from 80% down to 50%. So it seems like they're trying to bring up some of the other weaker runes that Hunter has, while also trying to drop down some of the more really powerful ones as well, to try to balance everything out and bring it in line. Honestly, a really good decision in my opinion. Moving on now to Paladins, Seal of the Martyr is getting buffed with its mana regeneration aspect, for your allies now being increased from 10% of the damage you deal with it up to 20%, as well as your Crusader Strike mana regen being increased from 2% up to 5% mana regen. So combining this with some of the new runes they're getting this phase, it looks like Retribution Paladins are pretty much going to have no mana issues heading into Phase 2, so a big win for them. But I'd say the biggest win has to be to Shadow Priest here. They're also getting some major love, with Shadow Ward Death being buffed, with now once you cast the ability, you only take 50% of the damage you would take inflicted upon the enemy instead of 100%, so maybe now it can actually be used inside of a raiding environment or even PvP to get some good burst potential out there. Something else that was very interesting was that Shadow Form might actually be reducing the mana cost of all your shadow spells once you're in it. Now, they didn't get an exact number on this, but I could definitely see this being a change as Shadow Priest runs out of mana very easily. So having this as well as Dispersion and Shadow Fiend, Shadow Priest is definitely on the rise, so look out for them also. We also have a very big potential meta swing when it comes to Rogue, with Mutilate's energy cost being reduced from 60 down to 40, which is a very big deal, which can cause Assassination to potentially rise up. So hopefully that could be the case. Next up, we have Shaman, and we're seeing some more additions to mana regeneration for them as well, with their brand new Power Surge rune, where additionally now you passively regenerate mana equal to 15% of your intellect every 5 seconds. And even Shamanistic Rage is getting buffed when it comes to mana regeneration as well, with your party and raid members within 40 yards now receiving 20% of the mana you receive from this spell, up from 10%, which is a very big deal in terms of group utility. The Masters of Darkness, Warlock, didn't really see too many changes this phase, but they did see one to one of their weaker runes coming next phase, which is the Invocation rune. I saw this rune and I thought it was very weak right off the bat, so hopefully they continue to make changes, but as of right now, this rune in particular will now cause instant damage to target equal to your damage over time effect's remaining periodic damage, as long as it has less than 6 seconds remaining. Previously, it was just that it would provide 1 tick of damage, not the rest of the duration available. So hopefully this at least makes it viable and maybe playable. We're gonna have to see. I'm not too sure yet. And lastly, we have Warriors, of course. they actually saw some nerfs to their most popular rune, Consumed by Rage, going from 20% bonus melee damage decreased down to 10. But I guess they're going to make up for it now by buffing the Furious Thunder rune, causing your Thunderclap now to deal 100% increased damage, which was previously 0. I don't think anyone's going to be using that other than Protection Warriors, but I know a lot of Warrior mains out there might be a little bit upset about that 10% damage nerf, but I guess it is what it is for being the top DPS in the game, Phase 1. Overall, I will say a lot of these changes are definitely warranted. I still think Affliction Lock is going to need a lot of love, and it will be probably the weakest class in the game next phase, but of course, we're going to have to see how everything comes out after Phase 2, and, you know, the first week of raid logs officially gets released, which we will be discussing and breaking down for you all. Speaking of other big changes, a few weeks ago during our news video, we actually brought up the point that gear inside of Black Fathom Deeps in Phase 1 is very strong for what it normally is inside of Classic World of Warcraft. With this happening, it's probably going to cause problems when it comes to getting some new gear heading into next phase with how weak everything else is going to be. So it seems like Blizzard actually took some notice of this because they actually just went nuts and started changing a bunch of items for dungeons and professions. So it looks like we're getting some big changes for the better when it comes to all the new loot in the next phase. Everything you see on the left is the brand new additions, while everything you see on the right was the older versions. Now, I do have to admit, a good 99% of this is dedicated for caster DPS as well as like holy paladins and healers, but this is still nothing but great news. You gotta think that casters require a lot more gear than melee to actually come online and be viable, so giving them this little head start inside of Phase 2 is definitely going to make a difference when it comes to the first or second lockouts for Nomergan and kind of balancing that DPS meta out. You can actually see from the logs on BFD over the last few weeks, caster DPS is finally catching up to everyone in Phase 1, and that's just because they finally got their hands on all that really juicy spell power gear. I mean, melee DPS initially requires very little gear to pump out some good damage, so you can actually see on screen that they even made additions to leatherworking, tailoring, and blacksmithing recipes as well, so even crafters can make a quick buck if you can rush to make all those recipes and get it out in the auction house first. So casters definitely clap it up for the developers here because they have been listening to me personally whine, moan, and complain for you guys over the last 2 weeks because all of you in the comment section let me know. Well, thank you guys so much, and thank the devs as well. Another super welcome change in terms of PvP was that they actually made changes to the PvP trinket for every single class. Previously in Classic WoW, PvP trinkets were class-specific, and they would actually only free the wearer from certain types of crowd control effects. For example, if you're a shaman, your trinket only dispels your immobilizing, slow, and stun effects. So what that meant was that if you were polymorphed by a mage, you couldn't use your trinket to get out of the CC effect, and you would sit there for 25 seconds with your trinket ready, locked and loaded to use. It was just a terrible scenario that no one wanted to be in. In recent data mining, though, it seems that the PvP trinket will now work like Wrath of the Lich King version and dispel all forms of CC on your character, making this a very welcome and beloved change to all PvP players out there. So now with the trinket change, all the new PvP gear coming, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm officially really hyped and ready to go this month of February to go kick some Alliance butt. Moving on now to the community part of our video, where we take your opinions and comments from down below in our comment section, shout them out, discuss them, and talk about it, man. So if you have something creative, constructive, or even innovative towards Season of Discovery, let us hear about it in the comment section below so we can show it off to everybody. Starting off with our first comment, we have Killer07. He states, W after W after W in this phase. I am so hyped. And I gotta agree with you there, man. I mean, we have so much to do in this upcoming phase. We have the new open world PvP event, the reputations to farm out, the raids, the professions, grinding all the runes, exploring alternate characters. We get to farm out our mounts and experience all the classes once they get all their really powerful abilities at level 40. I mean, this phase is slam-packed, and in my opinion, probably going to be the best phase for Season of Discovery in terms of, like, experiencing something great for the first time. I mean, all the specs come into their own, and it's going to be really a lot of fun to play, and I'm so excited. And to be honest, they did nothing but blow me away and left me speechless, so shout out to the devs on that one. We also have Literally Don't Care stating, as a gold buyer, I only did GDKPs because it was the only way to get into a group, as I usually play alone. This ban is great news, and I gotta say, that kind of sucks, man. I really feel bad that you have to buy gold to get into a group, and I'm sorry about that, but listen, I just want to make a quick announcement for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking for a guild to play with, Comeback Kids are inviting any and everybody to our guild on the Crusader Strike server on Horde. My name in game is SkyCBK, so if you ever want to whisper me while I'm on, I'll invite you, I'll send it out. You guys are more than welcome to come play with us. No one should be playing an MMORPG alone. Hop in that Discord server in the link in the description. Let's have some fun, man. Next up, we have a Munchkin Man stating, how do we feel about bosses having hard modes like Ulduar? I feel like that would be pretty cool in Season Discovery for the next raid tier. And man, oh man, I love this idea. Now, I don't think the gear in there needs to change or be better than anything else, because I just don't see the developers adding an additional difficulty for classic World of Warcraft for that sense, but it would be cool, however, for there to be some sort of achievement or way to show off that you completed that raid to other players, maybe like cosmetics for like a tabard or a pet or a mount or something to show off that you are highly skilled, you kick some butt inside the new raid and you want to show it off to players. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be really, really cool. Let me know what you guys think about that one in the comment section below. After that, we actually have Jack Burkle stating, I'm sitting here waiting for the Warlock runes, and first thing Sky says is that they're mid. And I gotta be honest, I can't help but just laugh at this one because I bet all you Warlock players were super excited to see the new runes or PvP rewards, and just got really disappointed with some of the stuff they released. I'm not saying Warlock is going to be bad or anything. I just really don't like that they gave him a bunch of passives as runes in the next phase. It just looks a bit boring to me personally, I'm not going to lie. So rip Warlocks on that one. And lastly, we have James McElmore stating, no news of dual spec, which is true. We actually didn't get any official confirmations or data mines on dual spec as of yet. And in my opinion, it's something that I do not think is going to come inside of Phase 2, but I think dual spec would have been a pretty big announcement and a way to bring players in. So my idea is that they're probably going to wait a phase or two to bring it in, maybe level 50, maybe even level 60 to bring it in and try to bring a bunch of players back. I don't know. I think it's a really big deal, so they're going to hold off on it. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we are streaming now. We're doing almost like a podcast episode talk show sort of deal on all things World of Warcraft, and we put some serious quality, time, and effort into making these live streams good. So if you guys want to come on down, hang out, check it out, just enjoy each other's company, man. Talk WoW. Let's go have some fun. We would absolutely love to have you there. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, leave a comment below for me to respond to it live here on these news videos to have a little bit of a discussion point and talk about it. I would love to see your opinions on some of these topics in these videos. If you want your voice to be heard, let me hear all about it. If you're enjoying the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. You get absolutely flooded with Season of Discovery content. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. It is an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all. Till the very end, my name is Sky from the Comeback Kids. I will see you all next one. Peace.